Sure. Yes. Thank you, Sheikh.
You're welcome.
If there's any questions in particular that anyone wants to ask, they can turn their microphone on, or alternately, you can write in the chat box, and we'll be able to read it out, and Sheikh can answer it there.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah.
You know how in the book you have said that there are three main approaches
Yes.
to the journey of spirituality?
Yeah.
Would you say that we should take importance of one approach over the other, or should we have a complete balance between all three of the approaches?
Yes. You know, in such issues, when you see some good scholars have taken one approach, some other good scholars have taken another approach, I think the best and wisest way is to benefit from all, not to take one and reject the others. So each of these has advantages, and you should be benefiting from strengths in every approach. Hadith based approach has some advantages, philosophical approach has some advantage, and mystical approach, and none of them by itself is perfect, is complete. So this is why I like the approach of people like Allama Tabatabai or Imam Khomeini in 40 hadith, because they have a synthetic approach. They are aware of philosophical discussions, they are aware and experienced in mystical approach, but they also very much refer to the Quran and hadith. Allama Tabatabai was a person that was not, na'uzubillah, ignoring hadith. He was very much, trying to refer to the hadith. Even in his tafsir, he has bayanun rewa'i. Although his method of tafsir is al-Quran bil-Quran, yeah, he makes interpretation based on the Quran, but he always refers to the hadith. Even Allama has commentaries on Biharul Anwar, but unfortunately that didn't continue. So we need to bring positive points of each of these methods, these approaches, together.
Jazakallah.
May Allah bless you.
I also have another question. So when you talk about methods to kind of, I guess, humble yourself and lower your ego and kind of try the process of purifying your heart, you mentioned the 5 things, like do not talk very much, sleep little, don't eat very excessively. So a few of the sisters we had, when we were discussing this, we actually had a few questions about sleeping, because in the other ones you kind of gave a little bit of practical advice which you can implement. But sleep, you left it quite vague, and you said sleep which is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking a little bit about this idea of, this kind of Western concept, which I don't know if it is a Western concept, of you need 8 hours sleep, and where that comes from. And I was just wondering if there's any Islamic kind of, I mean, I'm sure there is, but what the Islamic way of sleeping is, because I think, I don't know, I feel like, I actually find that, sometimes when you don't sleep as much, you're actually a lot more productive. But then we're so decided that you need your 8 hours of sleep. But then obviously that interferes with Salatul Layl and these things. So I was just wondering what you had regarding them.
Yeah. The reason I didn't specify any certain hours is because you cannot. Because depending on your age, your health, your type of lifestyle, even temperature, climate, you may have different needs. So I cannot say everyone should sleep 8 hours or everyone should sleep 6 hours. What is important is you should give your body what it needs, number one. Number two, you should be considerate about what you are used to it. You know, for example, hadith says, أَعْتِ كُلَّ بَدَنٍ مَا عَوَّدْتَهُ. Give everybody what you have made it used to. So maybe I didn't need, for example, this many hours or this much food, okay? But my body is used to it. I cannot all of a sudden stop. Big changes, radical changes can create disturbance in the body. So you have to find out what a person in your condition needs to sleep, and also if there is a big difference with your current sleeping pattern, gradually move to that, not immediately. Okay? Maybe we can say the minimum is 4 or 5 hours, okay? But the maximum is 8, maybe 9 hours, depending on the age, etc. So there is a range here. And it's also very important that when you sleep in the way that you can gain the maximum out of your sleep. So if it is quiet, if it is dark, if it is in the night, at least part of your sleep should be in the night, because this is more restful. Okay? And not to sleep with, you know, heavy stomach, because then it doesn't let you again to rest. So there is a whole art of sleeping. But what is important is that when sleeping exceeds what we need, it becomes destructive to the body and the soul and wastes our time. So you have to find the balance. For sure, we don't need, you know, to sleep, you know, 10 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours normally. Yeah? But how much, I cannot tell everyone. It's varying from person to person.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shaykhana, I have a question here. I think
Yes.
you put a beautiful hadith on samt. لا عبادة كالصمت.
Yes.
And then الصمت روضة الفكر. Would you mind just sharing a few reflections on this, because we are living in a very noisy world, whether it's externally or internally.
Yeah.
How can we develop this samt?
Yes. You know, samt is not to speak, to be silent. But as you said, there are two elements. One is not to have external noise. One is not to speak. Islamically, it seems greater emphasis is put on not to speak. For example, if I don't speak, but I listen to someone, I am exercising samt. If I don't speak, but I listen to the birds, still I am exercising samt. Yeah? Even if there is no silence outside, but I am silent. So the first priority is to reduce our speech, and then the second priority is to reduce unnecessary hearing of disturbing noises or, you know, sounds or, you know, words uttered by others. So our soul needs this kind of silence, to the extent that some spiritual mentors, they say silence is the food for the soul. It's amazing. Yeah, you don't expect silence to be the food. You think something should come inside. Yeah, but when you don't speak and don't engage yourself with that, your soul benefits automatically from connection to the spiritual world. It's like air, fresh air coming. Inspirations can come, reflections can bear fruits. Even one advice I give to the brothers and sisters for ziyarah is that when you go to ziyarah, after your recitation of ziyarah finishes, you make your salat ziyarah, you make your du'as, whatever, then just for some time sit and be silent. Even in your mind and heart, try to be silent. Let the person that you are visiting inspire you. You cannot hear their words, but you can be whispered. In Ziyarah of Imam Raza, we have this beautiful sentence. Hajabta an sam'i kalamahum. In the Izn al-Dukhul. We say to Allah, Hajabta an sam'i kalamahum. You have hidden from my ear their words. But وَفَتَحْتَ بَابَ فَهْمِي بِالَّذِيذِ مُنَاجَاتِهِمْ. But you have opened the gate of my understanding with the beautiful, pleasing munajat from them. So I cannot hear them, but I can be inspired by them. And this needs silence. If I keep talking and reading and reciting and asking for this, asking for that, it's like I go to an alim and keep talking. I never give chance to that alim to talk to me. Okay, so this silence is very important. Unfortunately, it seems we have not appreciated this enough. Even sometimes I say, with all the respect that I have for Zawar, but sometimes when we go to the shrine, we see some people don't observe the etiquette. When you are next to the zari, you should keep quiet. لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي. When you are close to the Prophet, you should not raise your voice, above him. ولا تجهروا له بالقول. You should not speak very loudly. So, when you are doing ziyarah, as much as possible, keep quiet. Okay? I can be reflecting. I can be just, silent. I don't need always to read and write and ask. Read and recite and ask things. Plus, even if you want to do something like recitation, etc., try to do it with the least of the noise, so that you don't disturb others. In any way, there's a whole culture that we need to build about reducing noise, reducing disturbances, distractions, and appreciating silence.
Santum, Jazakumullah khair.
May Allah bless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I realized
Alaikum assalam.
that function for you all. So please do just raise your hand with the reactions and unmute yourself and ask your questions verbally. I'm sorry that I don't know how to get it to work. I've been trying to get it to work. But yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead, Zahra. You're muted.
Sorry, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So my question is, in the book, we all found it very interesting that you said, when Allah gives you something and you are thankful, your capacity to receive increases, and there's no limit to Allah's generosity.
Yeah.
But it's our capacity, which is the problem. So can you please expand on that? Because it was a very profound statement, and we just wanted to understand it better.
Yeah. When someone is kind and generous and has unlimited resources, what would stop him giving you more? He's kind, he's generous, and has unlimited resources. Why he doesn't give you more?
Because it's wasted on you.
Pardon?
Because it's wasted on you.
Ah.
If you don't appreciate it, if you don't make use of it.
the only reason for not giving you more is because there is no more capacity. Like you go near, a big fall, for example, waterfall, like Niagara. Yeah, you go near Niagara Falls. If you have a container which can take 100 liter of water or 1,000 liter or 1 million liter, it can fill it. Yeah? Why one container only takes 100 and not 1,000 or 1 million liter? It can fill any container because of limited capacity. So when we receive less from Allah than what we want, it's because either our ignorance has blocked it or narrowed it, or our arrogance or our lack of appreciation, or maybe other people who were supposed to facilitate, they blocked it. Like, sometimes there is a river, but the village which is higher than your village, they block the water. Sometimes parents, sometimes children, sometimes society, sometimes rich people block or narrow the mercy of Allah reaching the other people. Okay? So there is like an ocean, but there is a network of pipes in different sizes, and then you are the end user. There can be problems in your own pipes, there can be problems in the pipes of the city or other, people in between. So, as far as Allah is concerned, He has no hesitation, no restriction. He just wants to give. And actually, the more He gives, the more His generosity manifests. لا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. Increase in giving does not add him except generosity. Like, if I go to a great teacher, okay, like Allama Tabatabai, and I am new to philosophy, for example, how much Allama Tabatabai can teach me philosophy?
A little bit.
Very little. Yeah, he has to teach me ABC. Then a little I learn, he can teach me more. Then I learn more, he can teach me more. Allama Tabatabai had a weekly, 2 days a week, classes for Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Amuli, this kind of students who were next level to him. So what he can teach them is not like someone who is new to philosophy. He is the same person, he has the same knowledge, the same kindness, but how much people can take. So, shukr is one of those things that increase our capacity, our reception. Of course, there's a system here. If you want to be more grateful, you need to have more ma'rifah. Yeah? You need to make dua, you need to give sadaqah, you need to do saliyah rahim. All of them are connected, but each of them can bring more and more down to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you.
May Allah bless you. Also, the more you give to others is another factor. It's a kind of also shukr. So when you share your knowledge with others, when you share your money with others, you share your time with others, then Allah will give you more blessing.
Are there any more questions? Please do put your hands up or just unmute yourself. Okay, I'm going to ask one there. So one of your, so I think Sister Nassim mentioned this idea that, we're living in this kind of busy world with everything going so fast paced, and we need this time to self-reflect. So there's something that I find quite difficult is how do you balance, your everyday life and, the dunyawi things with like moments to be alone and be with your Lord? How do you balance that? Like, how can you? Because you know they say that one of the signs of a mu'min is someone who prays 51 prayers, for example. So how do you pray 51 prayers and then do everything else around that?
One of ulama has a beautiful sentence. He says, توزيع الوقت توسيعه. توزيع means to distribute. توسيع means to increase. He says, if you distribute your time properly, you will increase your time. Okay? We all have 24 hours per day, yeah? But we see people in 24 hours, they have done what we think we cannot do even in 10 days. When we read lives of some of people and how much they achieved, you say, you know, did they live hundreds of years? Say, no, they actually lived like us. But they were very productive. Why? First of all, because they didn't waste their time. They had plan for everything. Okay? They reduced unnecessary things. Yeah? So, how much time we spend on cooking, washing, buying, decorating, you know, some of it is necessary. We have to do it. But even if you can reduce 5 minutes from this, 5 minutes from that, if you can do shopping once a week, do it once a week, not thrice a week, yeah? Whatever you can do to reduce time. How much we are spending on internet? How much, you know, we spend on, I don't know, telephone, etc. So if we can reduce things and plan in advance. For example, you say, every day as average I must at least study 1 hour. I think everyone needs 1 hour at least. Even if you have, you know, very busy life, as average you should be able to study 1 hour per day. Okay? Read books, discussion, taking notes, review, altogether 1 hour. Listening to lectures, at least 1 hour per day everyone can do and must do. Okay? So you should have plan, you should reduce unnecessary things, and you should prioritize things over other things. And also sometimes you can do 2 things together. For example, you can walk and do zikr. You can walk and do your nawafil, you can do it while you are walking, for example. So we have to learn how to utilize our time better. Therefore, time management is very important. You have to learn how to manage your money. You have to learn how to, I don't know, manage your business, whatever. But what about time? Time is also something that we have to learn. So everyone can do at least 1 hour of study. Everyone at least can do every day 1 hour for, you know, Salatul Fajr, Zohr, Maghrib, recitation of Quran, Dua, etc. All together 1 hour, you can at least do this for all of them together. But needs to be organized.
Inshallah.
May Allah bless you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I think that this question is very pertinent to a lot of people, especially the young people nowadays. The question is that how can we create that balance in our spirituality, because there's a constant high and a low in our spirituality. There are days when you feel very connected to God. There are days when you feel very down. You feel like not praying extra nawafil prayers or du'as. So there's always fluctuation in our spirituality and in our dhikr. How can we perhaps maybe create that balance and create more harmony with our spiritual side of our being?
You know, recently I was asked to talk about a spiritual journeying, and I was thinking, what should I say? It's a very long discussion, and it was just one session. So after thinking, I came up with this point, and in the recent retreat, I shared with our KLC brothers and sisters. I see some of the KLC also sisters are here. I said, in my understanding, and now I share it with you, this is result of tens of years. Okay? Very simple, but very important. And this is, I think, the core of spirituality. This is the way forward. Okay? Everything you built upon this, but this is the vehicle. Number one, you should always do things after having good reason. A mu'min should be rational in the sense that you should have good reason. You should have hujjah for what you do. Don't accept or reject. Don't say or keep silent. Don't go or stop unless you have good reason. Okay? So you should have hujjah for doing things or not doing things. This is very, very important. You should not go by emotions only. You should not go by feelings only or by comfort. Sometimes maybe something you are not comfortable, but actually that is what you have to do. Sometimes you feel shy and it is okay. Sometimes you feel shy and it's not okay. Don't go by shyness or emotions or feelings or who is appreciating or not. Go by good reason. If you have good reason, something that you can present to Allah on the Day of Judgment, do it. Otherwise, don't do it. So this is number one. Number two, do it with sincere intention. Because even if I have good reason to do, if I'm not sincere, I'm not benefiting. Yeah? For example, I should teach people. I have all the reasons to believe that I need to teach people. But if I'm not sincere, I'm not benefiting from this. Sincerity of intention, the second thing. The third thing is do it with high level of attention. We have lots of discussion about this, and Imam Khomeini in Adabus Salat explained this very well. You don't benefit from any spiritual act unless your heart is present. If you have no attention, if you are not alert, if you are not mindful, if you are not conscious, you don't benefit. The more attention is it. Sometimes we talk to each other, but we don't really pay attention to each other. Sometimes we read a book, we don't pay attention. We say our salat, we don't pay attention. So, three things guarantee for you success. Do things when you have good reason. Reason which is justifiable. Do things when your intention is sincere. Try to do it with good intention and with high level of attention. Then, for these three, use two other things. They don't become five. This is three and then two, so 3 plus 2. Try to find always the best means. Because for good ends, we need good means. We don't say ends justify means. We don't believe in this. Yeah. Some people say if you have good end, don't bother about the means. Whatever possible. No. For sacred ends, we need to use good means. So always look for good methods, good ways, good money, good resources, and try to find like-minded people. Do it together. Okay? اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Those three plus these two is summary of, I think, everything. If you know anything else that we need to do other than this, let me know. Everything about actions go to these three, and those two are about how to implement. So if you have good reason for doing something, do it. Whether you are in high mode or in low mode, do it. Whether you feel connected or not connected, do it. I have to, for example, do my, I don't know, recitation, my nafila, or I have to visit, ill people, whatever you are good, I have to do my study, my mubahasa. I don't feel good now. Okay, no matter. Doesn't matter. I will do it. If this is what I am supposed to do, I do it. Yeah? Who knows? Sometimes maybe you feel very high, but you are far away from God. Sometimes you feel very low, but you are very close to Him. We cannot judge because feelings don't guarantee anything. Sometimes people are angry with each other, they upset each other, husband and wife, instead of talking to each other, they, for example, start doing ibadah and they say, I feel very good, but how can you feel good if you don't speak to your spouse? But this is anger. Anger can make you satisfied. So, observe good reason and don't bother too much whether your spirituality you feel is low or high. Just keep going on. And inshallah, after some time you become more stable in your spirituality. Although you never become always the same, but inshallah just will be good and better.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
May Allah bless you.
Jazakallah.
Thank you. Maybe we can have one more question. We have 3 minutes.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there such a thing as spiritual burnout?
In what sense?
Constantly doing something even if you don't really feel like it. Would that not cause you to burn out and then you wouldn't want to do it even more?
If this continues for a long time, if it is just for a few days, it's possible. But if it continues for a long time, you have to investigate. Did I do something wrong that Allah deprived me from feeling the sweetness of His munajat, His salat, ibadah? Am I attached to dunya? Have I disturbed someone, annoyed someone, hurt someone? Okay? So if you check and you find that you have not done anything wrong, then it means that maybe other things are affecting you. Sometimes other issues in life make you unable to enjoy your ibadah. For example, you have someone ill in the family. It's not that you are in a bad condition. You are maybe very spiritual at that moment because you are taking care of someone who is ill. You are in suffering. You are very close to Allah when you are suffering. But you may not feel very high. These feelings don't mean that much. Okay? If you feel high, alhamdulillah, appreciate it. If you don't feel high, no problem. Just carry on. These emotions are not important. For example, Allah says, "Ana indal munkasirati qulubuhum." I am close to the people whose hearts are broken. But someone whose heart is broken may not feel very high, in spirituality. Yeah? Maybe even doesn't have feeling of doing anything. Just keeps patient and say alhamdulillah. But maybe this person is closer than someone who feels very high and is spending hours on ibadah but has no problem, no suffering. So assess yourself. If you are not causing a problem, if you have not committed a sin, you have not developed hubbud dunya, you have not hurt someone, and still you feel low for some time, then this can be a kind of test for you to carry on, to show your commitment. Is the Zoom, you can hear me? My Zoom has stopped. Can you hear me?